Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the North Affair podcast, Conversations Without Barriers. I'm your host, Doug from Ontario, Canada. It is Sunday morning of the 4th of January, 9 a.m. Hope everybody is having a good weekend. The realities of surviving on ODSP and OW in 2026. Good morning to everyone, and thanks for joining me. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a long-time listener, I'm glad you're back. Today, we're starting the year with a topic that affects thousands of people across Ontario. The realities of surviving on OW and ODSP in 2026. Not the government version, not the political version, the lived version, the real version. I'm going to walk you through what survival looks like for a single person and a single mother with one child, two children, three children. And we're going to talk about what's covered, what isn't, and why the math simply doesn't work. So settle in. This is going to be honest, grounded, and necessary. January is the hardest month of the year for anyone living on OW, which was once called welfare, or ODSP, the Ontario Disability Supplement Program. Rent is due, heat bills spike, food prices jump. Beginning this fiscal year, 2026, groceries for a family of four is going to cost an additional $1,000 this year, up from $16,500 last year to $17,500 this year. Kids go back to school, and the support rates stay exactly the same. People are stretched to the breaking point, and the truth is, these programs were never designed to let people live with dignity. They were never designed to keep people barely afloat, and even that's becoming impossible. So let's start with the facts. Here are the real numbers for 2026. These are the official rates. Ontario Works, single person, $733 a month. A single parent plus one child, $1,145 a month. A single parent plus two children, $1,344 a month. Ontario Works have been frozen for 7 years. No inflation increases, nothing. The Ontario Disability Supplement Program, ODSP, after the 2.8% 2025 increase, a single person, $1,408 a month. A single parent plus one child, $2,036 a month. A single parent plus two children, $2,257 a month. Ontario Child Benefit, $143.91 per month per child. These are the numbers people are expected to survive on. A single person on OW or ODSP. Well, let's start with a single person. A single person on OW gets $733 a month. A single person on ODSP gets $1,408 a month. In London, Ontario, a room in a shared house is $700 to $900 a month. A one bedroom is $1,400 to $1,750 a month. So right away, OW doesn't cover rent. ODSP barely covers rent. And after rent, people are left with nothing for food, transportation, clothing, hygiene, emergencies. This is not living, this is barely surviving. A single mother with one child, OW gives her $1,145 a month. ODSP would give her $2,036 a month. A two bedroom in London, $1,800 to $2,200 a month. After rent, OW mother, deeply negative. ODSP mother, maybe $300 to $500 left for everything. She does receive Ontario child benefits of $143.91 per child. The Canada child benefit varies by income, but the math still doesn't work. Food costs doubled, clothing costs doubled. School starts. Transportation becomes essential. This mother is already in crisis every single month. A single mother with two children. Now let's add a second child. OW gives her $1,344 a month. ODSP gives her $2,257 a month. Again, the cost has exploded. Food, clothing, school supplies, transportation, emergencies. But support does not increase at the same pace. She's now juggling two growing kids, two sets of school needs, two sets of clothing, two sets of everything. She's not living, she's rationing. She's stretching every dollar until there's nothing. The food banks are at their highest of people coming in and looking for help. And some food banks are beyond of what they can actually handle. The food prices affect everybody. Whether you're a middle income family or you're a low working earner family or you are on a disability or you're on OW. This is the group of people that, the increase of groceries this year alone is another $1,000. So a family, the average family of four is going to spend an additional $1,000 annually, up from 16,500 to 17,500. And when you add a third child, rent is still $1,800 to $2,200 a month. Food for four people is going to cost an additional $1,000 this year. The school supplies have gone up. Clothing costs have gone up. OW and ODSP does not increase enough to match the real cost of raising 3 children. The mother is choosing between food and hydro, boots or groceries, paying rent or falling behind. Mother is choosing to skip meals so her children can eat. This is the reality for thousands of families in Ontario. Now let's talk about what is actually covered. Medications. OW and ODSP both cover basic prescriptions through the Ontario Drug Benefit, but many essential medications are not covered. Dental, children on OW, ODSP covered. Adults on ODSP, basic dental. An adult on OW, emergency only. The new federal dental plan does cover children on low-income families, including OW and ODSP. That means cleanings, checkups, and fillings. This is a good thing, but it doesn't fix the crisis. The Ontario Hospital Insurance Plan covers doctor's visits, but not dental, prescription, glasses, therapy, medical supplies. So even on OHIP, people still face huge gaps. Tell me what you're seeing. Tell me what you think needs to change. I want to say this clearly. If you're on OW or ODSP, you're not alone. Your struggle is real. Your exhaustion is real. Your fear is real. And none of this is your fault. The system is broken, not you. The housing crisis we're facing today, deeply affordable housing, which is co-op, social housing, and housing with supports. These are really three main housing that we need to start building. These protect tenants. Your rent is protected. Your rent is geared to actually what you earn. Rent should be no more than 30% of your income. We're seeing families who are stretched where their rents, they're paying even at 35% of your income, and between 35 and 40%, one accident, one illness, a job loss, we're going to fall behind. Co-ops and social housing and housing with supports keep people housed. If we could double our co-op housing, if we could just double it, across Canada, on average, our housing, so the co-op housing stock is about 5.5% of the housing across the country. In Berlin, co-op housing is 12% of their housing stock. If we could double our co-op housing stock, we could house a quarter of a million people. The estimate, countrywide, the estimate is anywhere from 235,000 to 240,000 people who are homeless in Canada. Anywhere from 35 to 40,000 people sleep rough in the outdoor elements on any given night. Ontario alone, the largest, the most populated province in Canada, 80,000 homeless. The city of Toronto alone, 16,000. Out of that 80,000, 16,000 people are homeless in the city of Toronto. London, Ontario, roughly about 2,200 people are homeless. We're slowly, and we're not making a lot of ground here. We have some housing with supports online, some more coming online. But as I drive around my city and I see land where development can take place, and where they're building already, which is already far too late to even to put any affordability housing where they're already building. And looking at land, I thought, hey, that looks like a great place where they could, we can start building mixed income families, mixed income families, communities. What they did is they put in a strip plaza with small stores, a grocery store. The city had a huge opportunity in the east end of the city. We could have built mixed income community. They sell the land to the developers. Well, they're building for profit. It's going to add 10 streets to the city. High-rise condos, condo townhomes, single-family homes. None of which is affordable. Middle-class families won't even be able to live there. Even the properties that came online just, a couple years back, once where the old Victoria Hospital stood, the plan was this was going to be, geared to income housing and so on. And now the rent is at 80% of the market rent. So those units are anywhere from $1,200 a month to $1,400 a month. Some are market rent. It's disappointing. Across the road was the old children's hospital. Now, this is a good thing. It's going to be housing with supports. So at least they didn't go in and say, oh, it's going to be 80% of market rent. Because people on OW and people on ODSP can't even afford to pay 80% market rent. Our social housing, most are in dire need of upgrades and repairs. Anywhere from a 7-year to 8-year waiting list. And this is why we need to build more social housing. This is why we need to build more housings with support. This is why we need to build more co-ops. Because those types of builds keep people housed. The winter response program the city has put forward this year, 60 micro units on industrial property. They're just, I think 20 now are just getting opened. There'll be a place like a place where they can shower. There'll be a dining hall where people can eat. Maybe in the middle of January they'll have another 20 more available. Maybe by the end of January they'll have another 20 available. That's only 60. Roughly 2,200 homeless. So the people who are living in tent encampments, sleeping rough wherever they can find a place to sleep. So we're looking roughly 1,400 people who are sleeping rough here in the city. The other 600 are in shelters. Only 60 will be taken out of the cold. This is the response. This is the winter response. Opening warming centers only when the temperatures dip below minus 15 Celsius. The city of Toronto opens up their warming centers when the temperature is only minus 5 Celsius. And yet they are not shelters. They're for people to come in out of the cold to get maybe a little bit of rest, use the washrooms, get something, some sort of a snack or, a coffee or a tea. But it's not a shelter. It's just a warming center. The provincial government, year after year, they just cut funding for housing, just keep cutting it, giving less and less and less to help municipalities and cities. Cities can't build houses. Cities can't build houses on property tax dollars. That's what that money is not to be building houses with. That's that's to maintain the city. You know, the roads, the sewers, the parks, you know, infrastructure like that. Taxpayers' money from property taxes don't build homes. It can't build homes. See, back in the mid 80s and throughout the 90s, the federal and provincial government totally got out of building homes. And I said this before, in 1996, the Premier of Ontario, then Mike Harris, Conservative Party, 17,000 low-income housings, paid for, shovel-ready. Mike Harris canceled it. It was the largest cancellation of housing in Canadian history. We need to end homelessness. We need to fix affordability in the next 10 years. Because if not, homelessness will triple or quadruple. We need to fix housing in the next 10 years. 10 years ago, they said they're going to fix housing. Homelessness has doubled because they didn't fix housing. It only got worse. Indigenous housing led by the Indigenous people. Fundings from the government. Indigenous housing with supports led by the Indigenous people. Also required. So, if you can, support your community. If you can, give to the food bank. If you can, give to shelters. And in this time of year, winter coats, gloves, hats, boots are needed. Blankets. Just before Christmas last year, 2025, mayors across Ontario were calling on the provincial government to call a state of emergency on homelessness and addiction. Raising the alarm doesn't solve the crisis. It only acknowledges that there is a crisis. Calling a state of emergency doesn't solve homelessness. Housing solves homelessness. Housing first. That's the only way out of this. I want to thank you for joining me this morning, this fine Sunday morning, now 9:30 a.m. So go out there and enjoy your day, ladies and gentlemen. Get the things you need to get done. Kids are back in school tomorrow after this Christmas break. Holidays are this festive season is over, beginning a whole new year. Kids go back to school tomorrow. So people. School buses are back on the roads tomorrow. Children going back to school. Children walk to school. Pay attention. And when the school lights when the school lights on the buses are flashing, you must stop in both directions. Pay attention. Keep your phones out of your hands. Drive accordingly and be safe out there. Thank you for joining me. This is the North Affair podcast, Conversations Without Barriers. I'm your host, Doug from Ontario. Thank you for listening. Take care. I will see you next weekend. Thank you for listening.